I'm glad you could make it to our board meeting. At this time, please rise, and we have a young man that's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, I do. So I would like to introduce everyone to Cole Bowden from Del Mar Elementary School. He's a third grader there. And Cole, would you like to introduce your guest?
He's not in the third grade already, is he?
He is.
This is my mom. She's a fourth grade teacher, and she works at the same school that I go to.
Oh, good. Are you going to be a teacher?
Yeah.
Good.
Didn't he do a good job?
Yes.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For our guests in the room, this is the second month that we've used it. We're on camera. We're videoing, and so if you want to go home and check the rest of it out, if you leave early, you can go to Swag It. It's on the board website, and have the opportunity to see how well we did and how well you did. 3.2, approve our agenda. We need a motion to approve our agenda.
You have a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. And we also have a member that's long distance in California. Next on our agenda is 3.3. We'd like to have a moment of silence again this month. We've lost one of our young people from the community who have left us too soon. Mr. Willie shared with me he was one of his students.
I coached him at Mardella soccer too.
And he was also, like I said last month, he was also a friend of my granddaughter's. So in your own way, please take a moment of silence. Thank you. And this time we have 3.4, and we have Dr. Handy with us to give us some presentation on our park presentation of how we did and where we want to go. And Dr. Hanley.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, President Fitzgerald. Good afternoon, Superintendent Hanlon, board members, and guests. This presentation is on our 2016 park performance. PARC is the Partnership for the Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers. This is our second. The 2016 is our second, of course, administration for the PARC performance. For this presentation, I will be sharing with you how well we did, giving you an overview, as well as giving you an overview of where we are headed from here. As you can recall, PARC has 5 performance levels. Levels 1 through 5. Level 1 is the lowest level, indicating students who have not met expectations. Level 2, students who have partially met expectations. Level 3, approaching. Level 4, met. and level 5 exceeded. We, of course, our goal is to have our students, as all students, in levels 4 and 5. The strengths include, this is a chart indicating our comparison of data with how well the state of Maryland performed. This is the area of mathematics, and this chart indicates by grade level how well we performed on each level. Keep in mind that levels 1 and 2 being the lowest levels, we want our students to leave 1 and 2 and be in levels, of course, 4 and 5. And as you can see, we're very proud to show where you see the second column for the first and second column, where it shows the performance levels 1, 2, and 3 for the state of Maryland, and on the right, the performance levels for Wicomico County. You want to see that on levels 1 and 2, those arrows are going down, because when those arrows go down, that means that more students are coming out of those levels, and you want to see on levels 4 and 5 the progress higher, because that's where we want our students. So we are very, very proud to show that in comparison with the state of Maryland, we indeed made more progress, especially, of course, having more students on levels 4 and 5 in the area of math. And as you can see, for English language arts, we have the very, very similar, of course, data that shows that we are indeed having the lesser number of students in levels 1, 2, and 3, and more going, of course, in levels 4 and 5. This particular slide shows, of course, how well we did with our significant gains for the, of course, math, and there's a comparison between 2015 and 2016. As you can see, we met or exceeded in grades 3 through 8 and Algebra 1, which we are indeed very, very proud. English.
Dr. Handy, could I just ask you a question?
Yes.
Going back to the first slide about Algebra 2, have we looked into the performance level in Algebra 2 and put our finger on anything that we can do differently in the upcoming year?
Are you referring to Algebra 1?
Algebra 2.
On this particular slide?
In mathematics. First
I
slide.
think it was the previous slide.
The previous slide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the previous slide where, yes. Now, let me tell you about Algebra 2.
Please do.
Yes, Algebra 2 was assessed differently across the state, depending on which classes the students were assigned to. The state did give us leeway in terms of allowing those students to be tested or not. So that data, especially with the comparison from last year or this year, is not, you can't really put too much on it because you're not comparing apples to apples. But in going forward for us in the area of Algebra 2 and speaking with our math supervisor, absolutely. We will continue, of course, to focus on problem solving. We also will continue to focus on, of course, conceptual understanding of mathematics, as well as, of course, provide the ongoing professional development that we have our teachers involved in.
Is it true that some counties were not even assessed in Algebra 2?
That's correct.
So that's why you say
That's why I'm saying that.
Yes. Not level
Yes.
here?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking that question. This shows, again, another positive for us, how in grades 5 and 7 on Park Math, the schools that, of course, exceeded and expectations in terms of 5 or more percentage points, and we're very, very proud of those schools. As you can see in grade 7, of course, met or exceeded expectations for all schools. Congratulations to all of our middle schools. We are very, very, very proud of that. As well as, of course, in this particular area, Wicomico County did exceed the state of Maryland. This is Park ELA. We are very proud again for grades meeting and exceeding expectations, grade 6 part ELA. We're very proud. And indeed, we are also pleased to show that one of our subgroups, African American students, made significant gains, as you can see, on math for grades 3 through 8, and Algebra 1, and significant increases for grades 3, 4, 6, and Algebra 1. As well as African American students did it indeed the same or similar with ELA. ELA is English Language Arts. Of course, meeting or exceeding expectations in grade 3, 4, 6, and 8, and 10, and significant increases in grades 4, 6, 8, and 10. Special education, another subgroup. We're very, very proud to show that we also had significant gains in grades 3, 5, 6, 8, and Algebra 1 and 2, and of course we did make significant gains at grade 3.
Although this data represents gains
Mm-hmm.
in African American growth and special ed students, which will help narrow the achievement gap, but the gap still exists and there's still much work to do. Is that a fair statement?
That is absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, one of the latter slides that you will see when I share with you our areas in which we need to improve, yes, we still have a significant achievement gap.
So this is encouraging.
It's
but
encouraging.
there's still much work
Yes.
to do.
Yes, that's correct. Special.
Dr. Handy, you have a slide here on, the math for African Americans, and do you have one that just shows Caucasian or white students? It shows what they as a group did?
I do not have a specific slide on that. However, Mr. Gary Doss, our local accountability coordinator, and Mr. Thomas Ferretti, our student data analyst, I did ask that question, and absolutely, Mr. Doss did share with me that we could indeed get you that information. However, it will take time because we will have to go through each grade level, each student group, each content area to show the course differences and the gaps. So we can get it, but please know it will take time. But I don't have that slide today.
But they are reported as a group, aren't they? Hispanics?
We have African American. There are significant subgroups that are reported.
Asians, right.
Yes, and we don't have, on one of our slides, it will show you in one of the latter slides in this presentation, but it will show you just the overall gap. It won't break it down by grade level. It will not break it down by all the content areas, but we do have that information. And unfortunately, it is still significant, still in the double digits across the board.
Thank you.
Dr. Handy,
Yes.
what do you attribute these growths to?
I attribute these growths to, number one, focus, a specific focus that we have continually maintained on, number one, understanding the college and career ready standards. That's number one, because this particular assessment is directly aligned with college and career ready standards. Secondly, I attribute that to the specific focus that we have in the area of professional development, especially in the area of literacy, English language arts, mathematics, our STEM practices, very, 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 of course, important, and staying the course. Staying the course with what we know is the right thing to do, but especially unpacking and understanding those college and career ready standards and providing the resources, professional development that is necessary to challenge all of our students to be greater thinkers, to be independent learners, and, of course, to ensure that they know how to be collaborative in the classroom. All of that professional development we do, and we do have a lot of professional development, but that is what teachers are doing. And that's why I keep saying I'm so very proud of what the teachers have done, what they are continually doing, as well as the leadership of the administrators in our buildings.
Dr. Chase. Sorry, Mr. Willie. One of the things, as I've asked that question when I've been out in schools, one of the things that I've heard consistently is our leveled literacy instruction, or
Yeah.
it's LLI,
LLI.
an intervention
Level literacy
that
intervention.
we use with students who are reading below grade
Yes.
level, that's intense work and is making a difference.
Is it also fair to say that these results have now been broken down in such a way that teachers can easily identify areas of weakness in the specific area of content they teach,
They certainly
so
can.
that they will be able to address those weaknesses more specifically than we've been able to do in other test results reporting? I believe I understood Mr. Doss to share that with us, which to me is a most important factor in our improvement, to be able to identify specifically the things that are giving our students difficulty.
That is absolutely correct, Mr. Willie. This year, Park provided all school districts with additional reports, and one of the most impressive reports, of course, has to deal with itemization of the various, of course, test items in which teachers and administrators have now the opportunity to look at specifically those items, as well as analyzing those items and comparing how well they did on that particular item to the state and to the county. But even further, they can drill down to the specific standard and look at that standard that they did well on, or the standard that they did not do well on, and make, of course, improvements in instruction.
Dr. Handy, this is some very good information, and I appreciate it. But one of the things I like for us to do is to make sure we tell this story. Make sure we tell this story outside of, quote unquote, our
Yes.
four walls.
Yes.
Go beyond our four walls and make sure this story is told.
Well, thank you for that, because it is a good story. We have really a long journey ahead of us, but this is indeed a good story in terms of where we have been and where we are now and where we plan to go. Thank you for that. Going back to the presentation, again, special education subgroup, of course, the English language arts made significant, exceeded expectations for grades 3, 5, 6, 8, and 10. Also, our English language learners, our subgroup, also made, of course, significant gains on the math, meeting or exceeding expectations for math in grades 3, 6, and Algebra 1. Also, our English language learners made significant gains in the area of English language arts for grades 3, 4, 8, and 10. Farm subgroup made significant gains for math for grades 3 through 6, 8, and Algebra 1. As well as farm subgroup made significant increases, of course, meeting or exceeding expectations for English language arts for grades 4, 6, 8, and 10. Now, opportunity for improvement. As you can see, and this is a very visual slide that does indeed show you, while we have made absolutely significant gains, we are still showing only 30% of our students in grades 4 through 8, of course, including Algebra 1 and 2, are meeting or exceeding expectations. So that is an area in which we will continue to focus on for improvement. And in the area of course, our English language arts, only 40% of our students in grades 3 through 8 and 10 are meeting or exceeding expectations. And we will continue, and you'll hear this, of course, throughout our budget process, we will continue, of course, to have our mantra of literacy and what we need to do to continually go forward to make sure all our students are literate. This particular slide shows that, of course, there was a decline, and there seemed to have been a decline across the state in grade 5 for not meeting expectations for English language arts. This particular chart shows that while we have made significant gains and even more progress than the state, we still, however, are behind the state. And you can see here from the chart shows you, of course, the Wicomico math versus the Maryland math, and Wicomico reading versus the Maryland reading, and the difference there. The only area in which, of course, there is a positive progress here is grade 7 for math, and we're very, very proud of that. But we still, even though some areas are not that large, we still have a grave concern that we are not at the state level or above the state. So we continue to work on that. This is a chart, I think, that will help, though it's not broken down specifically by, of course, how well we did last year, because I asked that question, how well we did last year as compared to this year in terms of the gap. This chart shows you that there still is a gap for, and those groups are, of course, up there in the heading, between African American and white students, farm versus non-farm, special ed versus non-special ed, etc. And this shows you, as I said, there are still double-digit areas, double-digit numbers in terms of the gap, which is a significant concern. So we still continue, of course, to address that. You might ask, well, how are you addressing it? Well, we are addressing it across the board for all students. If we don't separate our students in, depending on which group they may fall under, we are addressing it with all students in terms of the rigor, in terms of the materials, in terms of the resources, in terms of the after-school programs, in terms of the intervention, in terms of the enrichment. And these are some of the current programs and practices that we do have in place and will continue, of course, to have in place in terms of some of the things that this is just some of the programs and practices that we, of course, have implemented and will continue to focus on so that our instruction, of course, is solid and effective. Of course, the first one is utilizing those local and state assessments that we have to inform instruction. That is very important. We give those assessments throughout the school year to help teachers assess where the students are and make any type of modifications to their assessment. Literacy, as you've heard me say and many others say, that is our number one, of course, focus. We continue to look at of course, the Leveled Language Intervention Program, which does indeed give us outstanding results on improving students, of course, skills in the area of literacy. Writing is a key focus, and you can see the focus on writing is across all grade levels, pre-K to 12, as well as, of course, this year, first year, for the implementation of our new elementary math program entitled Everyday Math, that teachers are embracing and learning, and I was pleased to hear from our Director of Elementary Education and our Supervisor of Elementary Math on how well the students are doing. We had a brief overview of that on last week on Thursday. Language Power, that's also a new program that we have this year for our English language learners, K through 8. We start early. We have pre-kindergarten expansion that we also now have at Chipman Elementary School. We've purchased additional technology, of course, the professional development, the STEM practices, and lastly, and very, very important, because this does include all students, and that is the collaboration between special ed, general ed, as well as gifted education, speakers of other language, to address opportunities and achievement gaps.
How are those programs paid for? Through the education budget, or are there any?
A combination of both. Thank you for asking. Combination of both. The Everyday Math is paid for, thank you so much, Board of Education, paid through general funds. Language Power also paid through general funds. Pre-kindergarten expansion is a combination of federal funds, state funds, and local funds. Technology is local funds. Professional development, local funds. Some of professional development, of course, is state funding through Title I. STEM practices is also local, as well as special education is state and local. So a combination of funding there, and of course our after-school programs, which you'll hear more about next month, mainly funded through grants. And for those of you who are interested in finding out more about Park and the scoring and just general information, please go to these various websites for more information, and I ask you to do that, as well as our parents and students, to find out more about Park. Thank you.
Anybody
Questions?
have any more questions?
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to take this opportunity again to thank the students, all students, because all of you take the assessment, but all of you, most importantly, you are in the classrooms every day to receive the rigor, of course, of what the teachers are teaching. So I thank you for that. I also thank your teachers, your administrators, and your parents.
Can I ask a question for clarification?
Oh, please, yes.
When you discuss the percentage of students that exceeded expectations,
Yes.
does the expectation score differ across the various student groups?
No.
African American?
No, it's the same. It's the same. Well, thank you for that. No, the expectation is clearly the same for not only Wicomico County, but it's the same for all the state of Maryland. Though there's no differentiation in which performance level a student is in. They don't vary. Excellent question, though. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to flip-flop 3.5 and 3.6. We have a gentleman here that needs to leave the public comment. So at this time, I'm going to have public comment, and I'm going to ask Mr. Jeff DeShield to go to the podium, and then we'll turn it over to the students. Because, they got a lot to tell us, so we don't want to be quiet.
I'm sorry I'm going to have to miss that. I'm sorry of all weeks. I only have one meeting all week, and it is today. And I greatly appreciate you accommodating me. And I'd like to thank the board. I'd like to thank Superintendent Fitzgerald. I'd like to thank Superintendent Hahn. I have two guests with me today, Lion Bruce Truitt, and I'm sure some people on the board remember Lion Ed Carey.
7th grade math teacher.
He said my brother said he gave him a lot of detentions. But anyway, we were here. We would really like to thank, I am like President of Salisbury Lions Club. Could not be happier to be here today. We welcome and our enthusiastic support for the Memorandum of Understanding between the Lions Club and the Board of Education. Excuse me, I have to read this. We look forward to assisting with the vision screenings of the county's pre-kindergarten and kindergarten students, with over 1,700 students to be screened. The Lions' hope is to identify those in need of better vision and get them the assistance they need. Vision screening is a critical age. At this critical age will help us find possible forms of amphophobia. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. I might have one of the students come do that for me. If detected now, there's a 90 to 95% cure rate. Proper vision will help students learn, achieve, help reduce disciplinary issues, and provide a more meaningful career in life. I've signed the memorandum if you all approve it, and we look forward to the challenge of working with the students of Wicomico County and hope to be of significant help. This is what the Lions Club does, and we really appreciate that you've come to us, and we are very happy to assist.
We're happy, and I know we normally in public comment don't speak back, but we're happy that you did this.
We couldn't be more proud. This gives us an opportunity to show what we do for the community, and we really do appreciate the opportunity that you came to us, and this is really what we thrive on. And Lion Ed is the chairman of a lot of the visions, Lion's Vision. So other than being former board member, it was a superintendent, wasn't it, Ed? I had to build Northwestern School under him. So anyway, but I would like to thank you very much, and didn't want to take much time. And thank you for accommodating my schedule. You do not know how much that means to me.
You're
Anyway,
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Buzz.
Yeah, you might find it interesting. We've been doing this for many years, the screening in pre-K and kindergarten. We're also going to be doing first graders, but there's about a 20% referral rate that goes on. So it's rather substantial. So we're able to pick that up right away and refer them to a professional. So
Thank you.
there's a great need for it.
Not only have you helped refer, there's also been other help, and following up that referral, and your program has been most beneficial to our school system, and please never think that you're not appreciated, because your work is appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
They went with a different machine a couple of years ago. So we've done an investment of $6,000 in one machine, and with the additional students, I think we're going to have another machine. So we're digging for $6,000.
Well, thank you. Okay. We'll come back to 3.5, the students' reps, which is always the best part of our meeting. At the table today, we have from James M. Bennett, Laura Toner. Laura, we'll let you go first.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fitzgerald, Dr. Hanlon, and other members of the board. My name is Laura Toner, and I'm representing Bennett High today. So far this year, at our ILT meeting, we decided to continue with Commit to the Sea, which is our program for helping students to be more aware of themselves and their surroundings, and to just to participate more in their community and to be prepared for college and careers. Our homecoming dance has been rescheduled to October 21st, which is a professional day, and the theme is Red Carpet Affair. We just had our Spirit Week last week, and instead of just deciding at our SJ meetings for all of the days, we did try something new, and we used Twitter. They have polls, and we decided to try utilizing those to help the students be involved in deciding what our Spirit Days were, and we actually found that worked very well. Our fall blood drive is going to be October 27th, and we're looking forward to making sure that it is slightly more expedient and not having students out of class for as long of a time period this year. We'll also be moving our Turkey Trot 5K, which we have annually, to the spring because it's so close to homecoming this year now, since we moved the date, and we just want more time to plan it and make sure that it's very successful, so we'll most likely be having a bunny hop 5K in April. In English classes this week, we're deciding on our prom theme, so by the end of Friday, we'll have that decided. And our senior class has also decided that since they had, last year's senior class had so much money remaining after they paid for prom and everything, and they were struggling to find what to do with it. This year we will be starting a scholarship in honor of Natalie Inslee, and it'll be in her name, given out every year. And we're hoping to just have events that will get money for that every year, and we can give that to kind of in essence of our Clippers Choose Love program at school, where if a student does a project that shows care for their community and for their school and that they're giving back, that's what will make them eligible for the scholarship. And lastly, we, as a student government, are planning fundraisers for October and November that will help to benefit the United Way.
There's a rumor that teachers were in their pajamas last week. Is that true?
Yes. Mr. Briggs gave us permission to have a pajama day for our Spirit Week, which all of the students were very excited about, and teachers as well.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm most appreciative of what you've chosen to do with your funds, and it speaks so much to students remembering other students and recognizing those that are giving back to the community. Wonderful decision. I want you to know I applaud that.
I actually have to give credit for the idea for the scholarship to our senior class president, Riley Baker. That was her idea.
Whoever, it's a great, great thing that you're doing.
Thank you. From Mardella High School, Leah Feltzer. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fitzgerald, Superintendent Hanlon, and other members of the board. My name is Leah Fetzer, and I am a representative of Mardella High School, middle and high school. We've had a successful homecoming week last week. We started off with Spirit Week, and on Monday it was America Monday. Tuesday was Twin Tuesday. Then there was Way Back Wednesday. We had lots of hippies, lots of tie-dye. We had Green and Gold Day on Thursday, and we had Forest Friday, since we are Mardella. Okay, on Wednesday, we had the homecoming bonfire. We had 300 students and parents attend, which was a record. And on Thursday, we had our two-period pep rally. We've never had a two-period pep rally before, and that included our powder puff game between the girls' varsity soccer team and then select teachers. And sadly, the teachers won by 1 point. We were very close, very close. But we also had teachers referee the game, so. And there was also lots of games like tug of war. And we had performances by both the band and the cheerleaders, which we just started up the cheerleaders this year since we did not have any last year. On Thursday, we also had our homecoming game, and our band performed the song Dark Horse for our field show. And both teams, the varsity boys and girls, had their senior night. Okay, so for students at Mardella, the major highlight of our week last week was that Tyler Ennis came home last Wednesday. He came home about a whole month earlier than expected from rehab. He's walking with a cane, and sometimes he uses his wheelchair, but we're very proud of him. He also received the honor of being homecoming king. Another student highlight, Karis Hazel, she is a junior, I believe, placed first in the Constitution Day competition sponsored by the Wicomico's Women Republicans Association. She gave her speech during the city's Constitution Day held at City Park. For our middle school, since we share our school with the middle school, they had their Spirit Week this week because their dance is this weekend. And we have a cross-country team for the middle school, and they've had 29 students compete in the first few meets versus other county schools. And there is a meet this week, actually, at Mardella this Thursday. On October 18th, we have the state superintendent, Dr. Selman, and he will be visiting during our college application day, which is run by Counselor April Shiles. Oh, she. Sorry. I didn't know who it was. We also held a scholarship information night October 3rd during PTA. And we had a practice evacuation drill to Northwestern in case it was ever needed, since we used to have an evacuation drill that took us to a barn, but the barn was run down, so we had to practice a new one. And we also had the Northwestern elementary students come to our school for their practice evacuation. And that is all I have.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick, I'm going to, since we have all the ladies but you, I'm going to let the ladies go ahead of you. So, Katie Beach from Y.
Hello. Good afternoon, Dr. Fitzgerald and Superintendent Dr. Hanlon. My name is Katie Beach, and I will be representing Y High today. I just want to thank all the board members that came to the American Spiritual Ensemble performance last month. It was great to see all of you. Thank you for coming. Our homecoming was on Saturday. So Spirit Week was last week. It was very well participated this year. We normally don't have many people participate, but we had lots of teachers participate too. So that was really exciting. Our most participated days were Maryland Monday, Jersey Thursday, and Y High Friday. We would hope that would be our most participated day since you can wear all of your Y High gear or even just the colors of our school. Our pep rally was Friday, 6th and 7th period, and the seniors won. Yay! We won all of our competitions, except when we went against the teachers. The teachers won by a landslide for our drum battle competition between our drumline and the drumline assistant. He beat us by a long slide. Nobody cheered for the seniors and everybody cheered for the teachers. It was kind of sad, but that's okay. Our homecoming game, we won against Washington High 37-0. Sorry, Washington High. It's okay. Maybe you'll do better next time, or not if you're against us. Our homecoming dance was masquerade themed. It went really well. Everyone had a ton of fun. It was really well decorated. And We had a lot of participation from admin and from SGA members to clean up, so it was really swift and it all got finished and we all could leave because it was pouring outside, so everyone just kind of wanted to go home safely. We actually had an incentive for homecoming this year, which is our Strive for 5 program, which is striving for 5 or less absences. And if you met that, you get $5 off your homecoming ticket. So a lot of kids, just an incentive to stay in school as much as possible. We will do the same for prom and for other school events like games and stuff. You can get, for bigger games, you can get money off. We have our Crucial Catch game October 20th at the county stadium. It's in all of support of breast cancer awareness. All the money, well, most of the money goes to Susan G. Komen. The VPA program, the Visual Performing Arts program for Wicomico County, is singing at the convention in Ocean City on October 21st, also the day of Bennett's homecoming, which I'm going to. So I'll be running from our singing adventure to get ready for homecoming. In November, we have our first blood drive, November 11th. And November, SGA is really focusing on fundraisers for each individual class and for community service hours as a whole, which are found in our guidance office and in our cafeteria. We have a whole wall designated to scholarships, and it's called our guidance corner. So students can always find stuff from our guidance office if you don't have the chance to go during the day. And in ILT, we talked about kind of rearranging our co-curricular activity for freshmen. It was 5th period, and that wasn't really working, so this year we changed it to 3rd period, and instead of just incentive-based activities, we decided that it would be a great idea to have a mentoring session also for kids that maybe they can't stay after school for after-school program. Since they have a designated period for freshmen, we decided that we would team up with our National Honor Society students, and they're going to mentor freshmen during their co-curricular period if they're recommended for mentoring for a subject. And I think that is all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
Just to comment, I want you to know I love your mentoring initiative in helping freshmen get off to a good start. I commend you on that. I also think the guidance department is applauded for getting the scholarship information up early. It's not too early to start looking at that. And
no.
I am so glad to hear that that's a whole wall of information for students, and that's so important. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
From Parkside High School, Patrick Temple. And what time is practice?
Good afternoon to all of you, and I'd like to thank you guys for the delicious lunch we just shared together. I'd like to talk about some of the great things happening at Parkside. Our Spirit Week was a total success. It was participated in by students and staff alike, and I know all the students definitely appreciated the staff dressing up. That's always a highlight. And our lunch shifts, our transition to 4 different shifts has been a very smooth one. It's helped ease some of the congestion in the hallways. Our SGA reconfiguration that I mentioned in the last meeting has also gone by very well, and we've had a bunch of suggestions, including since our homecoming was postponed, we were discussing having a second Spirit Week was one of the recommendations by the students, but that has to go over with Miss Penny. And then I'd also, at our recent ILT meeting, we discussed the literacy plan and the climate initiatives. And Parkside's #1 goal this year is our overreaching literacy plan, and it's all about the Lexile score, which is the reading inventory test. And our goal is a 1350 for college level work. And like Miss Handy was discussing with the park initiatives and everything, Parkside's we've definitely made some great improvements, but we still have a little bit of work to go to try and get everywhere that we need. And then our RamFam initiative, our hashtag RamFam initiative is what they like to call it. It's just a positive behavior incentive program that we're trying to switch over to at Parkside. We're kind of getting past the Parkside path and going more to a RamFam, which is a life-ready, not necessarily just career-ready path. And then some of the upcoming events there our homecoming, which has been rescheduled for October 21st, which I could bet all you guys know because you didn't make any friends with that one. But I'd like to thank you guys. Thank you guys for doing that because it's. I definitely appreciate you putting a student safety first before just a dance. And then our Parkside players are presenting A Midsummer Night's Dream November 17th and 18th. I encourage anybody here to try and make it out there if you can. It's really great. They do an incredible job. I went out there last year, and it's definitely a good show if you guys can make it. Our band is performing October 15th at the Del Mar Vacade and October 22nd at the Chapters Championship with about all the other schools in the area. And then November 3rd is our homecoming football game. And then we have a blood drive scheduled for November the 7th. And our senior class office is deciding on a prom theme and class shirts. And I'd like to thank the Lions Club for coming out here today because I think what they're doing for the community with eyesight and everything is definitely a big help. And I think it helps all our students, especially me. A couple of years ago, I needed glasses, and I had no clue I needed glasses, and I was struggling to see the board from the back row. So I definitely know how important it is to get eyesight within the community and especially in our school systems. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Good job.
Okay. 3.7, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Hanlon.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I have just a few things. First, I would like to say what a pleasure it was on Friday evening to attend the Maryland Teacher of the Year banquet. There were a number of us who, including Mr. Fitzgerald, who rode the bus from Bennett Middle School, along with our candidate, Christy Briggs. Christy was a finalist, one of 7. And she was not named the state superintendent, but as I said to her that evening, she's clearly the winner in my eyes. So she represented us well, all of the good things that we have happening in Wicomico County in our classrooms. So that was a pleasure. I also want to let the public know that very shortly, if not now, we will be posting 2 calendar options on our website for public comment. One is a pre-Labor Day start, one is a post-Labor Day start. As we know, with the governor's executive order to begin school after Labor Day, we also have the opportunity to apply for a waiver should we choose to do so. So we're very interested in the public's input on the calendars that will be posted on our website. So please make sure that you take a look and provide us with your feedback. I also want to make everyone aware of the fact that, as if you've heard me speak before, you know that one of my main emphases is on a positive school climate. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing very soon is administering a survey, a school culture survey in all of our schools. And we'll be seeking input from parents and staff and students and with the community as well for your input on school climate in order to create initiatives moving forward that we need to put in place in order to ensure positive climate in our schools. I also want to let the community know that very shortly, and the board know that very shortly, we will be opening our second wellness center at Wicomico High School. I believe that's within the next month. We have an exact date. We do not have an exact date, but I know they're working on it. It's going to be happening very, very shortly, and we're very excited to be offering that resource in conjunction with the health department. Also, through our family engagement department at Wicomico County Public Schools, we are this year offering something called Parent University, where we are offering opportunities in the community for parents to learn about certain topics. Just tonight at 6:30 at the county library, there will be a session from 6:30 to 7:30 where childcare will be provided. And the topic tonight is how to help your child with homework. If you're looking forward to the future, there are a number of sessions that are posted on our website for Parent University. So I would encourage you to check out the website and look for sessions that may be important to you and your families.
Will they deal with 8th graders in algebra?
8th graders in algebra. I'm not sure that that's a specific topic, Mr. Willie, but we can look on.
Is that upcoming, do you know, in one of the sessions?
Yes, Dr. Bonnie Ennis, I'm quite sure, will be addressing that.
That is a great comfort, Dr. Handy, a great comfort.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I need the background on that one. Oh, okay. Sorry, your granddaughter. Okay. Let's see. I think that's all that I have, except for Courtney, if you'll share with us what's happening with our grants.
Of course. Good afternoon. During the month of September, there were 8 grants that were submitted, totaling $67,024, and I'll allow you to read down through there. Some great opportunities that we're hoping to have funded. There were 6 grants funded during the month of September, totaling $592,923. And again, they're listed there for your review. And then, unfortunately, we did have 10 grants that were not funded in September, totaling $42,946.50. We do have quite a few that are still going through for the Community Foundation, but they felt that this was a better opportunity to be funded through like the Salisbury Wicomico Arts Council or something that was more arts driven than what they were looking to fund this year. They concentrated more on literacy and some other opportunities than what we have there. For the Maryland state the state and non-state grant information is broken out there for you. We have requested year to date $991,430.69, and we have acquired $1,441,310.16. Thank you, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Keep up
No
the good
problem.
work.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Moving on. 4.1. I need an approval, a motion to approve the open session minutes. September 13th regular meeting and September 20th work session. Everyone's had the opportunity to look at them. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against, same. Thank you. Just checking on you, Joe. Make sure you're awake.
I am still awake.
Good.
Yeah, I stayed up late to watch that Cubs-Giants game last night.
Okay, 5.1 to 5.7 is consent items. And a few months ago, we changed our way. Everybody's had the opportunity to look at the consent items. One of them that I want to make sure, it's 2 of them on their 5.4s. It's a memorandum of understanding with the Lions Club and also with the Sheriff's Department. Everybody's had the opportunity to look at all the consent items. Are there any questions, concerns? Hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I got a motion to accept
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the consent items signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against, same. Thank you. Okay. 6.1. Per the recommendation of the superintendent and the construction manager selection committee, CMSC, is there a motion to approve entering into negotiation with the firm of White and Turner Contracting Company for the construction management risk design build CMDB services for the design and construction phases of the work for the Parkside High School HVAC and above ceiling renovation project. A lot to read. Request is also made to authorize the issuance of notice to proceed to the CMDF firm to begin scope verification work on the design phase of the project for a fee not to exceed $175,000. The initial project option will be reviewed by the School Building Commission, SBC, for the final selection of the HVAC and associated system and recommendation made to the board for the purpose of final contract negotiations. The final contracts will be in the form acceptable to the superintendent and board legal counsel and shall include all the contract documents, general conditions, and supplementary conditions of the contract, as well as the final agreement upon negotiation elements of the contract. The final contract shall also be subject to and all approvals of the Ingersoll Committee of the Public School Construction, IAC, PSCP, as may be required.
You need to read that again, please.
Need a motion.
Motion.
I got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Discussion. Lisa.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As many of you are aware, the planning for an HVAC and above ceiling systemic project for Parkside has been going on for several years now. It first started as a limited renovation project back in 2011 after a detailed feasibility study was done. However, due to fiscal constraints, it was restructured as two systemic projects. As discussed back in May, in order to take advantage of funding already allocated by the state, it was decided to combine the construction manager at risk delivery method with design build to assist in reducing the overall design time, combined with the phasing expertise of a construction manager. Per the BOE policy, a two-step selection process was utilized similar to other CMR selections in consultation with the Interagency Committee on Public School Construction. This will be a multi-phased occupied renovation project, and today's approval to enter into negotiations will allow us to finalize the HVAC options for assessment by the School Building Commission for approval so that the project development can proceed. Are there any questions regarding this recommendation?
Any questions? I have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Aye. Same. Thank you.
Thank you.
6.2, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, CAFR, for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2016. Our audit firm, TGM Group, LLC, Certified Public Accountants, has completed the audit for the Board of Education for the period ending June 30th, 2016. The following document were provided to you in advance for your review. Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, CAFR, for the Board of Education of Wicomico County for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2016, and the audit communication June 30, 2016. Report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance and other matters. The Audit Committee reviewed the CAFR with the auditors on September the 28th, 2016. Upon the superintendent's recommendations and motion, the board accept the audit reports as submitted for fiscal year June the 30th, 2016.
So moved.
I got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
I do have a comment. I mean, I'm in favor of accepting it, but I would like to make a comment about the first several pages of this report, pages 2 through 4 primarily. You know, when I read this, and by the way, I'd like to thank Dr. Hanlon for sending these out. It's a lot easier to study these reports with hard copy than it is through the PC. So I did spend quite a bit of time going over this. But my biggest concern, and it has to do with pages 2 through 4, and when you read it, what I tried to do is read this as if I were a CEO of a company interested in moving to this area, considering it for to move my company or to start a company in this area.
Hey, Joe, can I ask you a question? Are you talking about 2 through 4 of the communications or of the actual audit report?
No, the actual financial report itself.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So when I read this through the eyes of a potential CEO or a CEO potentially moving to this area, or someone that's interested in starting a business in this area, and we have had past discussions as a board about the economic development impact of our public schools. So if you read those pages, I don't think you would be too encouraged to move to Wicomico County. And I'm not trying to ignore the problems that we've had in the past, but I think the wording on this could be in such a way that is a much more positive message versus some of the things that are mentioned here. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I'd ask you to maybe read it and maybe at a future meeting talk about it, and maybe going forward come up with ways to make this comprehensive annual financial report more positive, more upbeat. I mean, just for an example, on page 4, under long-term financial planning, it says, since the MOE calculation is based on prior years, students' count and does not factor in the impact of inflation, county funding for education is flawed and must be addressed in order for our school system to tackle growing needs within our county education. Other areas, efforts continue to inform the community of consequences of persistently balancing the general fund budget by cutting administrative operations, maintenance, on and on and on. It says, unfortunately, until our local economy starts to show some improvement, hopes for significant increase in education funding remain tempered. So and that's just a couple examples. Just within those 2 or 3 pages, I think you'll find more and more. I'm also concerned about comparing years 2010 to the current period. And we compared it to 2012 to the current period, things would look a lot more rosy as far as the amount of money that has increased, or the percent of increase is far more dramatic if you start at 2012. And 2012 is when we hit our trough. And we could have mentioned that due to the financial crisis across the country, on and on and on. Our county, along with other counties across the nation, were financially impacted. We hit our trough in 2012, and since then, there has been significant increases in funding for our school system. So I think that's the kind of message that we want to get across, so that anyone that's looking at this area to move their businesses, that that they will feel more positive about it. And Maria Waller has presented a great story when she is relocating professionals to this area. In so many cases, they are willing to work in Wicomico County, but they send their kids elsewhere. So I think anything we can do to get a more positive message across would go a long ways. Other than that, I do have one number, and if Mr. Ford could...
Mr. Ford's not here.
Okay, but in there on page 3, the bottom, it says the board must stretch existing resources to meet the needs of a very diverse and large at-risk population students. 77.3%. So are we saying that 77.3% of our student population are what we categorize as at-risk.
There's a specific formula that our state uses, MSD uses, to identify at-risk populations. And the way they do that is they take all of the at-risk populations, the special ed, the ELL, and so forth, ones in poverty. And that total is then, so a student may be in 2 or 3 of those categories, and they are counted, double counted, or triple counted. Thank you. So what happens is the total of number of students, and some may be counted more than once. If they're in any of those categories, then they're divided by the total number. So that's consistently across the state how they determine the at-risk, the percentage of at-risk youth. So they may not be unique students, but they are students who are considered at risk in all of the various categories. And so our comparison across the state to other counties is the way we calculate it is identical because we're mandated to calculate it that way. And ours is 77.3 at this point.
Okay.
Mr. Fitzgerald, I'd just comment that I did not have the same reaction upon reading the report. I felt the report was very factual. It dealt with the facts. Now, whether you want to go back to 2010 or 2012 to try to make things look better, I guess maybe that's a choice one makes. I am concerned, though, when Joe made the comment about significant improvement in funding since 2012. The truth of the matter is there's not been significant improvement in funding when you look at education. Education has been funded based upon what it is required by law to be in Wicomico County, and that's maintenance of effort. And we have not been funded beyond 1 penny beyond maintenance of effort, which is required by law. So I don't consider that significant increase. I consider that doing what the law mandates you to do. When we go beyond maintenance of effort and say we want more than just what the law requires for Wicomico County students, then I will be encouraged that we are doing above, maybe significant's not the right word, but we are doing above what is required. Having said all of that, I was not at all taken back by the way it was reported to me. It was very factual.
Well, and that has been the goal, and Bruce and I have discussed this on several occasions. The information that's provided in this introductory letter is to give just that, the facts. What has been our historical perspective, where are we now, and what are our hopes to come? And so it wasn't meant to be negative, but it certainly, we feel like it's important to give a big picture of what has been the historical, current, and future financial picture of what our county is. So it wasn't obviously to discourage people from moving here, but to give a picture of what actually is happening financially with our district. So
yeah, when I read it, I see what Joe's saying about the marketing and folks reading it that are coming to the area. But when I read it, I look at it as a taxpayer who grew up in the area. So I get the cold, hard facts from this, like where we are, where we've been. So as a taxpayer, if I want better schools, then I realize the MOU is, or whatever the MOE, too many acronyms for me, gets you just where you are, to Mr. Willie's point. So we got to think about alternative ways to raise revenue, or there's other sources of revenue. So it gets you thinking if you're a business person in the community or a taxpayer. But I appreciate what the financial folks do, because when I read the first 5, 6, 7 pages, I mean, I read the other, but I get a whole overview of what's going on in the Board of Education's finances, and that's what I liked about it. The marketing piece of it, we got to think about how to do a different way, but I don't think it comes in the financial reports.
And I do want to say that we have looked for opportunities to give credit where credit's due. If you look on page 3, under assessment of school systems economic condition,
there's a sentence in the first paragraph that says, thanks to a very conservative approach to budgeting on the part of our county government. So we are trying to give credit, again, where credit's due, but the picture, has not been very rosy. And we did start at the 2010 because that was really when the dip arrived. If we start at 2012, 13, or 14, obviously the picture's going to look different. But the point being that we have never caught back up to where we were at that time.
And the other point that I get out of it is there's two ways to get to the bottom line. You raise revenues or you cut expenses, and there's indications in here that we can't cut our way to prosperity. There's got to be a point where you stop cutting. Yeah. And I don't know where that is. I don't know where that is in my own company, but that's what I read in this too, and that's very concerning and something for us to all think about, which I get out of this. Which,
and it's a very
thank you all for
balance.
It's well written.
And I think Gene makes a powerful point, Dr. Townsend. Yes, we do need to market our county, and I'm totally in favor of that. But we need to market it in a different place than in this report. This needs to be the facts. We'd be less than honest with people if we did not put the facts out there. I'd rather be looked at it, presenting it honestly, even though it may not be the facts that paint us in the color we'd like to be, in the picture we'd like to be, but we need to market in a different way.
Exactly. And if I might make two more points. One is I do want to give kudos to Bruce, obviously, and he's not here, and sorry that he can't, but he's at a conference, but also to Gary Green, Chris Bryson, and Jesse Reed, who have done an outstanding job on this. We could not have done it without all of their contributions, so I want to publicly recognize them.
We have an excellent team. There is no question.
Absolutely. And one more thing that I want to say in conclusion is if you look at the other, not the CAFR, but the audit communications, it says that there were no significant findings on anything, and we consistently have a clean slate on our financial audits. In fact, we have many, many awards, which I'm sure you read in there, that we get the ASBO awards and the those awards. So, I mean, over and over again, we get many, many awards. In addition, and again, finally, is it draws attention on page 10 to our school activity funds. And I, again, want to go back there and give credit to another person, which is Patty Ayotte. This year, we had two small findings where there were two checks that weren't double signed. I mean, in a system this size and of a budget this size, to only have two very, very small findings is really unbelievable. So I want to, again, give credit to the Finance Department for the outstanding work that they do.
Dr. Townsend, Gene and I sat on the committee, and we listened to the auditors, and they talked very highly of the way things are being done. And it's just not me hearing it. I know Gene's a finance man. He heard it. And, they come in, and just like you said, was it $2 million in the fund that you're talking about, the two checks? They were both of them would not sign twice, and that's all they found.
Right.
Now, somebody's doing something right, because I shared with them I'm a coach. I have to turn in funds. The process is a pain in the rear end, but it works.
How do you really feel, Doc?
Well, it is, but there's a reason for it. It's a reason. It's not like it used to be. It's a change, and it gets done, and people are held accountable, and and the proof's in the pudding. So,
very good. So, thank you. We're proud of the report.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, I'm not saying that we hide the facts. There's no way am I recommending that. I'm just saying that the wording could be done in a much better way, put as much positive spin on it as you possibly can. And, let's remember that our county government was slashed with funding from the state. While their funding was slashed at the state, especially the Highway User Fund, which they lost $7 million a year for the last 6 or 7 years. They also were, the state passed on more and more expenses to the county. So that puts a burden on the county, and it's very, very difficult for them to operate in such a way. The other thing that is difficult is this county was probably hit harder than most counties in the state of Maryland. Now, fortunately, based on what I've read and the discussions I've had with some of the people at all levels, low income, middle income, high level income, they're all up. The employment, the number of people employed in our county is as large as it's ever been. I think it's like 53,000. So things are looking better. And to address Mr. Willie's concern about MO maintenance of effort, I understand that. But at the same time, state funding has gone up, and state funding comes from taxpayer dollars also. I mean, that is significant. From 2012, we went from 163 million to 100 or to 180. I can't read that, but I think if I read it right, it's about $20 million more from 2012 to 2016. That to me is significant, and things are looking better and better as long as the economy keeps improving. We're always going to have cycles, and unfortunately, we had a doozy, with the financial crisis and the housing crisis. So, but I think that needs to be mentioned, that we suffered through that time frame also, as did the county, and that we're coming through it, and things are looking better, and put a positive spin on everything. And again, I'm not saying that you ignore the facts or hide the facts. You can present those facts in my estimation, in a much better way.
Okay.
Joe, I just have a quick question. I'm kind of getting two different things here. What you are saying is that the total money received in the school system is quite a bit higher now than it was in 2012. And Ron, what you are saying is, as a part of that formula, our MOE has not gone up any higher than what is required. So you're talking about part of the whole, and he is talking about the whole. Is that correct?
I'm simply saying that the education system hasn't got a penny more than was required by law for it to get. And thank God that the state did put in more money, or we would be in, the county would be in even a more critical situation. But as far as what the county has done in the education system, we've not done a penny more than we were required by law. We've not even funded some special one-time projects which would not affected MOE and would have helped give us intervention programs that were greatly needed. So I'm saying that not to be critical, but to simply state what the facts are. And I think the issue here is the report given factual? And I'm saying, yes, it is factual. Is it the prettiest picture we'd want to see? Absolutely not. Joe wants to make it prettier, and I can appreciate his concern there, but we cannot do that and sacrifice the facts.
Okay.
Well, Ron, I'm not suggesting we do that.
And I appreciate that, because I would hope none of us would want to do that.
Okay. Moving on, 6.3, budget transfers. Upon the superintendent's recommendation, is there a motion to approve the budget transfer as presented by the controller for the month of October 2016? Need a motion?
Give a motion.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Bruce is not here. Kathy, are you going to be the lead person?
Sure.
Okay.
This we have brought up on for quite some time, several years in fact, the need for a classified salary study. And so this budget transfer is requesting to transfer money from our salary fund into a contracted services fund to be able to contract with a firm to do a classified salary study. Now, this wouldn't be the end of it, because it will be a budget transfer by the county council. So this is the first stage of approval from you all. Then it'll be taken to the county council by the county executive, and then once they approve it, then we would put out an RFP for firms to bid on that study.
And this is just for Board of Education employees, not for the county as a whole.
Well, as it stands now, it's just for Board of Ed, but we have put the offer out to the county executive that if they were interested in doing a joint study, we would be interested in combining with them.
So they have been invited and they have the option to be a part of this study as well.
Yes.
And pay half of this.
We didn't talk about money.
Gotta talk about
Just saying.
Good point.
Gotta talk
Half
about
of it, that would be good.
Yeah.
Okay, we got any other discussion? We had a motion and a second. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against, same. Thank you. Okay, 7.1. Board members report. Dr. Chase, I'll start with you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. On Thursday, October the 6th, Dr. Willie, I'm calling Dr. Willie, Reverend Willie and I, we attended the school health council meeting. And I have to tell you, this I've been on this board for a long time. And I really appreciate the fact that during this meeting, one of the first things that was said was to go back and revisit the mission and the vision. And I think that's important in any organization, that time to time we need to do that to make sure that we're staying focused on the mission and that we have not drifted from the mission. So we're in the process of doing that, as well as Nick Thompson. He is the coordinator or the lead from the board on this, as well as looking at some other policies and procedures, and perhaps even developing some committees to help direct where we want to go as the school health council. So my hat's off to Nick, as well as all those involved in that process. But we also had a good representation of individuals from the school systems, especially in the physical education department and health education department. There was one concern I do have, and Mr. Willie will probably talk about this more, is that we have a lot of partners in this, on this committee, and a lot of those partners did not show up. So perhaps there will be some more outreach. According to Nick, there will be outreach to bring those partners in, and I thought it was a very, very good meeting. And he tried to stick to the timeline. So that's my report. Oh, the other thing too, I just want to applaud, I can't say this enough. I want to applaud everybody in the Wicomico County Public School System, from administration to the janitors. I don't know if we call them janitors or whether or not we call them industrial engineers. I have no idea. Custodians. We have to applaud all that they do every single day, because we have to realize that our jobs aren't 9 to 5. When we leave our jobs, folks always associate us with where we work. And I don't care what we do outside of our jobs, they're always associating us with what we do and where we work. So I just want to applaud you all for a job well done. I'd like to applaud the leadership for all that you've done thus far. Thank you.
Mrs. Waller.
Going on to that, I had the opportunity to attend the MAID conference this past week. And gosh, I learned a lot. First, that I don't know anything.
Good place to be.
Second thing is that it takes a lot to teach a child. It's just amazing to me. And third, that by talking to other board members from other counties, we get along pretty well. We do a really good job. Some of the challenges and some of these boards that shall remain nameless, oh my goodness. So I hope we continue to work together and to see, and we're not always going to agree on things, but hopefully we will always work together for the better of those children.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer.
I had the opportunity to attend the third day of that MAID session, and it was a great experience. There was a part in there that had to do with education combining with the community college, which is what we are doing right now, was just fascinating. And everything that Dr. Hanlon had mentioned earlier that she had done in Hagerstown with the businesses and using businesses, I think we're a little bit ahead of a lot of these other schools. And everything you had talked about they were talking about wanting to do, whereas you had already done it. So I thought that was great.
You know, if I may interrupt, the vendors. I went around the vendors and I asked, is Wicomico County doing this? And like 90%, oh yeah, you guys are on top of things. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, so that was good. I also won a prize for jams and jellies, and that was pretty good also. I also had the opportunity to attend the legislative breakfast on Saturday. For those of you who have the opportunity to go, it would be great if you went. Mr. Culver will be sure that an invitation is extended to Dr. Hanlon, and who's normally there is Mr. Culver and his staff, our 2 senators and 6 shore delegates. And it gives you, they have a full agenda, and it gives you the opportunity to see how the Board of Education is included in the entire county and what the entire county is going through. So it's an excellent learning opportunity to attend.
Mr. Willie?
Well, it was obvious that it was all about jams and jellies for John at the main convention. It was an interesting time. I guess I would share my focus for this report would be on our meeting with the county council that I attended. And I am just so encouraged with the atmosphere of openness that was present during that meeting. People who appeared genuinely interested to hear and learn about things within our system, but also that had questions that spoke to me of their concern for what we're dealing with and the needs that we face in the day-by-day operation. And it is my desire that that spirit of cooperation and openness will grow because when it does, our whole county benefits. And
absolutely.
So for me, since our last meeting, that's probably the highlight. I could speak about MABE, and I with Dr. Chase appreciate the focus of our Health Education Committee and the desire to involve more of our PTA representatives and faith-based partners and input from the county as a whole. But for me, the highlight this month was the increasing spirit of cooperation that I sensed with our meeting with the county council.
Thank you. Mr. Malone?
For me, well, I attended MABE on Thursday as well with Maria, and our own Mr. Ashby was on the CTE panel, so I went on that breakout session and, of course, represented Wicomico County very well. Again, as to Maria's point, everywhere we went and asked vendors, do we do this? Oh, yeah, you guys do that. So that's awesome. The park test scores, for me, that's good news. As Dr. Handy said, lots of work to do, but we always have work to do. But that's great news. Students here, always a pleasure to have them at our meetings, and then we had a chance to have lunch with them. That's always an uplifting experience to really, I mean, for us, I guess that's our real customer is I'm in the customer service business, so students are our customers. We don't deliver the right product, and we don't turn out the right product at the end. So great to have the students here. And then again, everywhere I go in the community, I hear this growing optimism about the county school system. It should have always been optimistic because we have a great system, but it's really on the rise. I hear it all the time, and most of it is, to Dr. Chase's point, is our colleagues that work in the system, all of you, the teachers, everyone, and the addition of Dr. Hanlon July 1st has been great as well. So everyone keep up the good work and count on us to support you any way we can.
Thank you. I also had the opportunity to go to MABE, and it's always nice to be down there. And I shared with lunch with Dr. Hanlon and Maria. And one of the things Maria was talking about was all the acronyms. So for staff, please, if you're speaking, let her know what they mean. She's new. I was in the same boat 8 years ago.
I have
So-
pages. Every time you guys talk, I write it
So,
down.
but anyhow, she shared that with me.
Same thing.
The book is getting fat.
I also had the opportunity to go to the Teacher of the Year banquet. And Christy Briggs did not win, but it was an honor to be there. But the biggest honor was, and hair stood up on my arm, and you on the 20th of October, you'll be able to watch it, is when the young lady from Parkside sang. Now, how did she get to the Teacher of the Year banquet? At our Teacher of the Year banquet here in Wicomico County, Dr. Darla Strauss really enjoyed her singing. She said, I'd like to have her to the Teacher of the Year banquet. It's not an easy thing to get somebody from the Eastern Shore to get across the bay and sing in front of all those people. And let me tell you something. She hit a home run. I mean, big time. So it was an honor to be there to support her and knowing what we have in this county for all students. Also, I had an opportunity yesterday to meet with a group of people, and it was spearheaded by Dr. Reverend Martin Hutchinson about the community garden that we're trying to get in at Pinehurst. But it was just the input from everybody sitting around that table, from the president of the city council to a gentleman who has been in the community, Jay Martin, with the organic vegetables, to be there and listen and see where it's a possibility that we're going to do some good things. So it's good to hear all the good stuff from everybody around the table. And last Friday, Desmond couldn't make it, but Rick Smote, Debbie Emge, Grace Lamboni, and Mayor Jake Day and myself met at Pinehurst. There is some traffic issues and pedestrian issues, and by standing out in front of the school, I think that everything is going to get resolved. The mayor was on board. A few signs, a sign for us. And I think a lot of the problems that's been going on over there is going to be alleviated. And that's the reason why I mention all this. All the problems we have in the school system come to us. When we open the doors every morning, they're not there. It's a community effort, and by the work with the county, working like Mr. Willie said, it's a blessing. And to work with this mayor we have, Jake Day, we can only win in this community. And that's where you get an ache in the pain. Oh, I don't feel as good. No, he's like the energized bunny, and he's a young father, and he's expecting another one, and he's steady going. So I think we're going to have a lot more good things for this community that we can think about. So it's been a great month since the last meeting. So keep it up. And for staff, I'm with Dr. Chase. You don't hear it enough. You hear the bad stuff all the time. It's easy to give people bad things, but say thank you. And from me today, thank you. Thank you for everything you do. And I think all of us sitting up here realize, how much goes on to make it work. So, thank you. That's the end of the open session.
You forgot Joe.
Joe. Oh, Joe. Hi, Joe. I thought you were asleep. Sorry about that. Your comment.
It's either out of sight or out of mind.
Or both.
Obviously, it's not absence makes the heart go fond.
Yeah. Sorry about
we
that.
miss you. We really do.
Yeah, the only thing that I really missed before I left, I was hoping to sit in on parents' involvement in their children's education. And I think Parent U is a great idea, and we've got to find ways to get as many parents as possible out and learn more about how they can get involved in their children's education. So I'm anxious to see what the attendance is on that, and just look at ways that we can to increase that attendance, because I think it is key. So anyway, I look forward to getting back to Salisbury. I'll see you next month.
All right.
Safe travels.
Safe travels. Okay, that will end our open session. Take about a 5-minute break, and we'll come back. A few things in closed session. Thank you.